Hi, and welcome to Wildcard FPL Live. John, Bear, guys, we're
How you
live.
doing?
Hi. All right.
Yes. Well, just wanted to thank everyone who's joined live. Firstly, it is a pleasure to be with you on this Tuesday evening. There is Champions League football happening right now. I have no idea what's happening in those scores, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. But really, the spirit of this is just to kind of go through the scores from the previous game week 16. We'll have some previews around our teams for game week 17 as well. And really, again, the reason we are going live and doing less of the VOD at the moment is because of these crazy fixture congestions at the moment that we're all experiencing. So it's a bit easier for us to do this from a live standpoint. In January, we'll probably be doing some more VOD. But again, thank you so much for joining us. John, Bear, how are you guys?
Yeah, pretty good. Another fairly emotionally damaging week on the old FPLs. We'll get into that soon. But yeah, it's pretty relentless for me at the moment. Not like you, top of the table boys.
Well, not for me much longer. I mean, that was my worst week of the season by a long way. Absolute mad switch up of my captain. I'll reveal what my stupid mistake was later. But yeah, lowest score of the season, 500,000 places down. But otherwise, very happy.
So where are you right now, John, in terms of rank overall?
Good question. I think I'm down at I think I went all the way down to about 700,000 from being up in the high 290,000s.
That's
So
not too bad. It's not too
it's
bad.
not too bad, but a significant plummet percentage-wise that could have been avoided with the right captain choice.
And Bear, how about you? What's the deal?
Well, I think if you add both of your ranks together and times that resulting sum by 3, I think you're close. You're close to where I am. I'm tickling the 5 millions at the moment. It's not good. The anti-Haaland experiment resulting in getting Haaland back in and then him getting injured is not going in my favour. But we're taking the rough with the smooth. It's all good.
Yeah,
plenty of season left.
For sure. And I got a nice little 80, I think plus 95,000 green arrow. So I'm now just outside top 5. Oh no, I'm inside top 500 now. So top 500k, which is great. So yeah, good game week for me. And I think it was just that sort of captaincy choice that kind of swung it for a lot of us. Just in terms of the fixtures that we saw in game week 16, a couple of surprises. I think, no one is keeping clean sheets, right? Like all the teams that we have in from a defensive standpoint. I've got 2 Arsenal, I've got 3 Newcastle. You can't rely on those clean sheets anymore, which is mad. I think we expected Aston Villa to do a job on Arsenal, but they've just been a little bit poor from a defensive standpoint, which is disappointing. So perhaps invest less on your defenders might be the message. And then I was at the Spurs game, Spurs versus Newcastle game. It was absolutely mad game. Really good to be there live. But yeah, John, as a Spurs fan, you must be absolutely buzzing from that, right?
Yeah, especially since really the situation. I mean, Romero back was the big change for Spurs defence. Didn't get the clean sheet. More pain for Spurs defenders and Vicario owners. I think it was a 92nd minute goal, was it, for Newcastle? Yeah. But I think given that this still is, missing Maddison, Van de Ven, Perisic, these instrumental players at the beginning of the season, and they're kind of playing Ange ball again and looking good. I'm sure Udogie, Porro, maybe even Richarlison are kind of going to be some of the top transferred in players this week in the game. Exciting times.
Yeah, Bear, how about you? What are your thoughts on kind of what went down from a result standpoint?
I think the interesting thing was Luton scoring first against Man City, which was a massive shocker. I mean, Steve's been talking all season so far about Luton not being a fixture to target, and it seems like that still holds true for them. Obviously, Man City came through with the win, and importantly for me, reporting here live from Anfield, Liverpool went top of the table, so that's good news. But yeah, I mean, next week's going to be interesting. We've got the unstoppable force of Bournemouth FC at the moment versus the immovable objects of Luton. Yeah. So maybe that'll be one to watch next week. We'll see what turns out.
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, like Sheffield United beating Brentford. I mean, what on earth?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, normally Brentford are quite handy at the back, so I think that was something that no one was really expecting. I'm not sure people really have many Brentford assets. You got Flecken right there, is that right?
No, I defleckened a while ago. I've only got Wisser to ditch now,
Okay.
and then I'm in the clear. But yeah, I was rolling deep in Brentford for a while, and I've got myself out of that.
Yeah, we know you.
Muddy puddle.
We know you have a bit of a complicated relationship with Brentford, so
I mean, roll on January. Tony's coming straight back in.
yeah.
What's,
Good stuff.
what's crazy is this new the sort of the teams that are in the ascendancy at the moment. It's just such a sort of 180-degree turn from like the last few weeks. And like looking at the fixtures on Saturday, it's like Bournemouth at home to Luton, and I think Luton away is the difficult fixture. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, Bournemouth look great, and then Chelsea still look terrible. Bad home record. They're playing Sheffield United that just played pretty well. So I'm thinking, oh, Sheffield United look handy. And then Fulham, 5-0 back to back against a pretty shaky Newcastle. And Everton away at Burnley. That looks like a great fixture for them. So I've got quite a lot of issues, and I'm thinking, in the darkest recesses of my mind, I'm like, oh, I'll free hit in Everton, Sheffield United, Bournemouth, and Fulham players for like 1 week.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Jon might be free hitting. Fantastic. Is that legit? You're not going to?
No, I'm not going to free hit. It's like you look at a moment of panic with Haaland. I got David Luiz, who's been great for me, hauling in some points, is now suspended. Trippier, huge, normally guaranteed bonus points until the last 2 games. He's suspended. So I was thinking with 3 big players out, I don't like a couple of other players in my team, but I still think I'll make a transfer and save that free hit for a double game week or something.
Yeah, and we'll go through teams in a sec. I got them lined up, so we'll definitely do that. But in terms of the game week 17 fixtures, which I've just brought up, are there any there, Bear, for you that you kind of want to attack? Like, what are your thoughts going into this next game week?
I mean, if you'd asked me a couple of weeks ago, I'd have said West Ham Wolves was a great one to go for. Chelsea Sheffield would have been good. I mean, they're all looking a bit tricky to me. All of the favourites, I mean, they're all going to get pummeled, aren't they? Anybody, if you've got a player in your team from any team in the Premiership, that team will get pummeled. There's just there's no other way around it. I mean, you'd think Arsenal should put a number over Brighton. I mean, that's maybe the only one I'm certain about at this point.
I agree. Yeah, I think so. And also, I think, again, it's tough for us to kind of comment on the Man United stuff, but I think Liverpool might do a bit of a job against United at Anfield. But I mean, Salah, we'll talk about some captaincy picks in a sec, but I think Salah might be the move from a captaincy standpoint, just given sort of United's form. So Arsenal-Brighton, I think, is actually going to be a pretty good fixture for Arsenal. I think Brighton are just a little bit shaky at the moment. And yeah, we'll have a chat about some fixtures. But I do think looking at Newcastle-Fulham, who knows what on earth is going to happen in that fixture?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's just one. Yeah. Maybe 4 weeks ago, we would have said Newcastle are going to absolutely smash that. But just given the state of the season so far and Newcastle's form coming off that defeat to Spurs, anything could happen. Fulham look really good at the moment. I've got my own a couple of their players. Yeah,
when they're that hot, I think it's 17 goals in 4 games. Trippier, absolutely talismanic, is suspended. They've got crazy injury problems anyway. I think I'll just stay away from that game because I do think St James's Park does have, one of the great home stadiums, and they'll need some sort of response. But that feels too close to call for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think Man City as well at Crystal Palace. I mean, obviously the big news is Haaland. And again, we'll get into some Haaland chat in a moment when we look at teams. But is it safe to own a City asset right now? I'm not so sure myself. Is Alvarez going to get rested? Is Alvarez going to get rested soon? That's the rumour. Bad, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked all season on and off about Crystal Palace having a good defence, and
it's not true.
They haven't been defending particularly well. But against a Haaland-less Man City, it could turn out to be a bit of a dull game over there. So maybe the action's going to be somewhere else in the Prem this weekend.
Yeah, it feels like a 1-1, doesn't it? That City Crystal Palace game. I think Roy Hodgson might be in a bit of trouble as well, so I think those players will be fighting for him. So, yeah, pretty mad fixtures coming up. And also, big news, big kind of headline is that the deadline is this Friday at 6:30, which is what a lovely, lovely time for a deadline. 6:30 on a Friday, fantastic. Thank you, Premier League. Thank you for continuing to deliver the blows. So let's have a look at some teams. So I'll just get into mine first. So what I'm thinking at the moment is my issues, and you guys can see this, right? So
yeah.
I have 3 Newcastle defence, so that is kind of a fire I need to put out like right away. I did Lascelles from Simicast a couple of weeks ago, which in hindsight was a bit of a mistake, but it's not been too hard for me on that. But I think now's the time to perhaps hedge my bets a bit, and I want to perhaps think about bringing Gordon in the future. So if I get rid of Lascelles for someone, I can think about Gordon in a couple of game weeks or even next game week. I think that's kind of the move for me. But the assets I'm looking at right now are actually Lascelles out for Pedro Porro, because I think he is looking really good. Like 5.4 mil defender who's doing as much productivity as like Trippier and Trent, in my opinion. I think he's just an absolute no-brainer to get in. So for me to do that, I think that's going to be a really good cover for me. And then also Mbeumo. By the way, I've got 2 free transfers. Mbeumo is still obviously out. He's going to be out for a couple more weeks. And I'm thinking about doing him to Decore at Everton. He is playing nailed for Everton. They look pretty good. He's going to be in the team throughout the Christmas period. I think it's just a kind of a nice little asset that I can lean on when I need to. And then obviously the big news, and we'll kind of get into this and on what we're going to do individually. But if Haaland is injured, if we find out that he is out before the weekend, then I will probably do him down to Solanke. That's my thinking. Gets me into the Bournemouth attack, and he's on pens as well. They've got some good fixtures. So right now, if Haaland's not injured, keeping him, obviously, probably captain him against Crystal Palace. And then I'll do Lascelles out for Pedro Porro and Mbeumo out for Decore. That's what I'm thinking. Or Andreas for that Fulham attack. So, yeah, any feedback on that? Any thoughts?
I think ditching the double defence from Newcastle is a good idea. I did the same thing to my team last week. I got rid of Lascelles. It's just looking a bit too shaky over at St James's at the moment in the defence department. But yeah, I mean the big news, like you say, is on Haaland, isn't it? Having only just brought him in, I don't really want to get rid of him already. But with an injury and a potential blank, it's looking like the wind's blowing that way.
Yeah, and
what are you thinking, John?
Bear, let's do your team real quick, just whilst we're on that subject. So I've got your team up here. What are you thinking?
Yes, so I'm thinking. I already took a bit of a hatchet to my team last week to get rid of Lascelles. I brought Gordon in instead because I preferred the attacking option there. And if Haaland is injured, I'm thinking also going down to Solanke, and I think I can squeeze Palmer to Son.
Ooh.
So I'd quite like that. The thing is with Palmer, I keep getting touch of nerves when I want to get rid of him because I just feel like he's going to do something. Every time I've had Bowen, he hasn't done anything. So I think I still prefer Bowen at Wolves against Palmer probably. Solanke and Son potentially if I can squeeze it this weekend.
Yeah, like Son is. I've actually got a couple of work colleagues who got Son out. Like they did. I think it was. Yeah, someone did Son to Gordon before he hauled against Newcastle, and now he's bringing him straight back in. This is the guy above me in my mini league. He's number 1, I'm number 2, and he pinged me yesterday morning, just being like, "How could I have sold Son? What was I thinking?" He's such a good player, such a good asset. But that makes sense. So you think and would that be a -4 bear for you, or how many transfers?
That would be a -4. Yeah, I think. The difference between Palmer and Son should negate that. But, yeah, I can't afford anything else, really. So it's either a Palmer to Son or nothing else.
Yeah, I think like -4s and hits are actually pretty okay at this point, given where we're at and how many games there are. I feel good about a -4, I think, this week. I think a lot of people are doing that as well. So, yeah, John, what are you thinking? I'll get your team up here.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all sorts of issues.
Talk us through it. Talk us through it. What's happening?
God, yeah. So I've got two goalkeepers with injuries. I've got Johnson and Areola with injuries. I've got Trippier suspended. I've got Douglas Luiz suspended. I've got Haaland possibly injured. And then I've got like Roberts, who just like constantly gets zeros on the bench. I've got Gibbs-White facing Spurs. I think Spurs are going to run rampant. Probably playing away. I've forgotten the name of the Nottingham Forest ground, but it's huge. It's one of the biggest in the leagues, and I think that in the league, and that will really suit Spurs sort of counter-attacking and using those wings. Interesting to see if they play Son and Richarlison again. But yeah, so I don't particularly want to play Gibbs-White. So I think I'll either get Porro or Udogie in. I think they're both like pretty good shouts. I might look at the percentage sort of selected and choose the one that's less selected. Just thinking about my rank. I'm going to get Son in some way, somehow. So that might be selling Haaland because I want to keep Salah. Saka, captain last week, absolute disaster. I think I'll do a -4. I've got 2 free transfers, do a mini wild card, find a way to get Son in, as you coined the phrase, a kind of productive wing back to replace Trippier, because Zinchenko is a doubt, which is really annoying. Sort of Arteta roulette that we're suffering with. So yeah, lots of Acuna. I think I'll keep happy with him.
Great pick.
Watkins. So, I can field a team. At least. And I've got 2 free transfers. But yeah, Spurs assets look good. I ditched 3 players after the Chelsea loss, which kind of worked out okay because obviously didn't win in 5 games. But I feel like the ship has steadied, and it's Richarlison's had his surgery. Son's hot as all hell. Time to get some Spurs players back again.
Got to be done, yeah. And I was going to ask actually, just on the Haaland kind of situation for you, John. We obviously all have Haaland. Let's say Haaland is starting against Crystal Palace. Are you captaining him, guys, or are you going to go for Salah? What are your thoughts, Bear?
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? It's really tricky. If Haaland starts, I'll probably captain him. If he doesn't, I know John was just saying it was a mistake, but I kind of fancy Saka against Brighton. I mean,
lovely.
Yeah, there's a lot of good options again, isn't there? It's a good point of the FPL season when you've got choices.
I think Son has got to be a shout again as well. Salah. So argument against Haaland is, maybe he is, if he's sort of partially fit. I know he never gets subbed, but he could get subbed. Crystal Palace do have one of the best defences in the league. I think they're like the tallest defence or something. I'd like to see historically how well Crystal Palace have dealt with Haaland. My feeling is quite well. So yeah, it'd be Salah. Salah. If Salah's like on one, Anfield atmosphere, biggest game of the year, then it could be a bloodbath. But Man United could rise to the challenge. You never know with those big sort of derby-like games, rivalry games. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Is it Salah's last northeast derby, northwest derby?
Northwest derby. Yeah,
it's going to be big. So I think I'm leaning towards Salah myself. Okay, one more question for you both then. Given what you've seen and heard from the press this week about Haaland, do you think this is just Pep mind games? Do you think he's legit injured, or is this more just let's give him a rest and get him in for Crystal Palace? What are you guys thinking at this point? John, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think Pep needs to play mind games. He's got such a good squad without him. I feel like he might not play. Yeah.
Do you think he's injured?
Bear. Yeah, I think he's injured. Bear, what's your read?
I think he's injured as well. I think normally when you get these mind games, you'd have seen him come on for the last 20 or something if it was just a rest. And he didn't come on at all. I think he's injured. I think he's got something wrong with him.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the deadline stream, obviously, it's going to be hard for us all to be keeping an eye on the news, given we all have jobs in our lives and it's a 6:30 deadline. But yeah, I think it's going to be key to make sure we're in the know about exactly what's going on with Haaland before that deadline. So keep an eye on the press conferences, and as we always say, don't make your transfers too early and all that jazz. Cool. Well, I think this was a quick little live stream tonight. Just wanted to get on and chat about the previous weekend and the game week preview. So that's kind of it from us. Just wanted to say again, thanks so much for joining the stream today. We really appreciate it. We'll do some more of these. If you have enjoyed what you are seeing and have seen, please do give it a like. We really appreciate it. We absolutely bloody love subscribes, don't we, guys? It really does make our day. So if you have enjoyed the content and you're liking the look of the channel, etc., please do give it a subscribe. And you can also catch us on Twitter. We are all very present. Our handles will be on the screen somewhere, so please do join us over there to chat afterwards. Send us a comment. We will be happy to reply. So that's it from Wildcard FPL this week. Again, thanks for your time. Jon, thanks for joining. Bear, thanks for joining. And we'll see you soon, guys.